I've been a bit bored with my hair lately, so I decided to take matters into my own hands. I watched some XMONDO videos here on YouTube and felt confident that I could give myself a home makeover. First, I needed to trim my ends and add more layers, so I brushed my hair up into a high ponytail, or a unicorn horn sounds better since it's just above my forehead. Then I placed a second ponytail holder in my hair and slid it down to where I wanted to cut the ends off. Since the hair is being directed over your head, it will leave the bottom of your hair with some length while creating shorter, even layers on top. I went in for it with some hair cutting shears, chopping just above the holder. If my hair was damp, it would have been a little easier on the scissors, but dry works too. After removing the tail, I did some point cutting to soften the line and take weight off the ends, so the layers don't look chunky. I believe that point cutting on dry hair has a better outcome than on damp hair. After giving it a good shake out, I was pleasantly surprised with how it turned out. I thought I might need to make some adjustments or cut more, but it really was that easy of a haircut. John and Cora were very impressed with me. This was the first time I'd tried this technique, and it was so quick and simple. Being a mama means I don't have time to go to a salon, but after trying this out, I know I can do my own hair at home. I ordered some XMONDO color because I wanted a fun, dramatic change. I figured if watching Brad Mondo's hair tutorials worked with the haircut, then his color line wouldn't let me down either. I couldn't settle for doing a single color, I wanted a dimensional look. So I picked the Super Blue, Super Purple, and Slate Grey. I ordered the colors off Amazon after reading loads of positive reviews, and it arrived super fast and perfectly intact. It's richly pigmented, has a thick consistency, and it also smells incredibly good. I will admit it's pricier than other semi-permanent fashion colors at $28 for an 8-ounce jar, but spoiler alert, it's worth it. And I am not being paid to say that, it's my unbiased opinion. For these colors, you don't need to mix it with a developer, it's ready to apply. You can put it straight onto your hair just using your hands if you want to, but you'll probably want to put gloves on because it will stain your skin and nails. Temporarily, it does come out, but gloves are very helpful. I began by dividing my hair into 4 quadrants so I could have better control with how I applied the color. Since I didn't want the colors to blend into each other, I chose to use foils to separate each section of color. I sliced each piece out using the end of my application brush. I tried to take small subsections, but I will admit I probably took too large of pieces because I really had to push that color through so that I didn't get any missed spots. Smaller pieces would have been easier to paint. And looking back after the fact, I probably would have been fine without the foils because the texture of this color is almost gel-like, and it stays very well where you put it on. And the colors I picked are similar enough that even if they bled onto each other, I don't think it would have been too noticeable. Because my hair is still long, I had to twirl up the ends with the brush to fit it onto the foil. The viscosity of this color really helps the hair to stick onto the foil. If it was thin or watery, the hair would have slid right off. So kudos to Mr. Mondo for developing a gelatinous product so it can easily be foiled. To make sure the colors were symmetrical, I continued to apply in a consistent pattern. First purple, then blue, and then gray. Purple, blue, and gray. If I did back-to-back of any color, then there would have been a large chunk of just that color. So keeping up on alternating the colors evenly was essential, and I do believe I did so successfully. It was also important that a different brush was used for each color. If I was only using a single brush, then the colors would have gotten muddy and dark. So a designated brush for each separate jar kept the vibrancy of that color. I will say that these colors were much darker than I expected them to be. They are deeply pigmented and rich, which means they won't fade quickly. They could be diluted to cut it down so that it comes out lighter. I imagine that mixing it with a conditioner would work so that less pigment is deposited. My hair was obviously lightened prior to doing this, so it really absorbed all that color, since bleached hair is more porous than unprocessed hair is. So mine sucked up that color like a sponge. Because these are darker colors, your hair probably doesn't need to be as light as mine was. I would think they'd show up even on brown hair. As I worked up to the top of my first quadrant, it was more difficult to place the foils. Some of them did end up dangling or slipping a little because I was coming in at such an awkward angle. It's challenging to do a full foil on your own head, especially at the back, but it is possible. You can't really see it, but I tried to angle the foils diagonally so that the colors weren't completely stacked over each other, blocking out the other colors underneath. Diagonal foils in the back and on the sides help make stripier slices, if that makes sense. Vertical would have been the most stripy, but that would have been even more challenging. When I moved over to the second quadrant in the back, I continued to follow the pattern I had already established on the first side, starting the foil pattern with super purple, then super blue, and slate gray before going back to purple. After I finished in the back, I decided I wanted to have the top of my hair have bold stripes. So I made another section in the middle. I was going for a box down that mohawk section, but it came out a bit triangular, which was fine. The point was to have vertical slices here so that when I do a center part, there'd be stripes of color. I foiled each of the sides of my hair, trying to keep it somewhat diagonal. For some reason, it was a little trickier on the sides, so I ended up painting the color directly onto the hair, especially the underside, and then sticking it onto the foil. To get my entire head foiled by myself took over an hour to do. I actually ended up doing this at 3 in the morning when everyone was asleep. I was so drained when I finally did finish, but I had a lot of fun doing it, so it was alright. There's just something so satisfying about changing your hair color. I've been at it since I was a young girl, and as much as I'd like to settle on a color, I'm not sure I have it in me. I know I'm not the only one who likes to change their hair, but I've heard criticism about it over the years, and I'm not entirely sure why. I believe people should be free to express themselves through their style, and that shouldn't offend anybody else. Be true to yourself. If you're a chameleon, changing your colors when you feel like it, then so be it. Halloween felt like a slightly more acceptable time to go for a daring look like this, but I think this could be done whenever. However, I do generally prefer lighter colors in the spring and summer, and darker colors in the fall and winter. I might maintain this look for a bit since I actually had quite a bit of color left over when I was done. I thought my hair would eat 24 ounces of color, but I ended up with a little less than half remaining. So I have plenty to touch it up if I choose to. Or I might let it fade and do something different and save that leftover color for another time. I haven't decided yet. But that's the nice thing about this semi-permanent color. You can close the lid and keep it for later. It doesn't go bad after opening it. As I was literally putting the last foil in my hair, I could hear Cora start to cry. She had good timing to let me finish, and as careful as I thought I was not to make a mess, I ended up getting a drop of purple on my baby's nightgown when I picked her up. She's growing so fast, she won't fit in it for long anyway, but I still felt guilty. I let the color sit for about a half hour after the last foil went in before washing it out. After all this effort, I was very happy with the results, and here it is. My hair felt soft and was shiny, and the colors lived up to their name, super blue and super purple. The slate gray was slightly more subdued, but that helped to balance the vibrancy of the blue and purple. I was excited to see how it looked with my hair all done up and styled. So I curled my hair with an 1.5 inch size iron, and as I did, I pinned each section up. After all my hair was curled and pinned, I gave it a light misting of hairspray and let it cool down for a few minutes before taking the clips out. Styling it this way sort of mimics a blowout or wearing hot rollers, but it's easier in my opinion. The curls last longer when they set this way, and it also makes the hair more voluminous and bouncier. As I took down each curl, I shaped it by giving it a twirl and ran my fingers through it to break it up. You could use something like a boar bristle brush to make it fluffy and bigger if that's what you're going for, but I didn't want it to frizz out on me, so I was pretty gentle with handling the curls. And as you can see, I did my makeup to complement my new hair colors using purple and blue eyeshadow with a cut crease I made using tape. And to be extra fun, I glued on some long false eyelashes with blue on the wings. Then I mixed some lip colors to make a deep berry that completed the vampy look. I hope you enjoyed watching this hair tutorial and feel more confident to cut and color your own hair at home too. It's especially hard when you're a mama to find the time or money to go to a salon and have a professional do your hair. But it can be more affordable, time-saving, and fun to tackle it yourself. Please don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe to Ream Team Fam. There's more videos to come. Thanks for watching. Take care.